but there's no guarantee. The only thing that is the thing you have to your advantage is me. Because I've traveled the journey. And I can call you on the thing you may not even know you need to be called on. That's the nature of delusion. You don't know you're deluded. So I want to speak to this because the nature of when you start encountering your own attainments, the early cities, where there's power, where there's exaltation, there comes the forces of the lower suppressed collective vital, the universal vital forces. And these are nasty territories. These are the intelligent bestiality that was there inherent in every human being. They are violent. They're unruly. They do not want to be suppressed ever. They want to control. They want to have what they want when they want it. And they'll take every situation they can to claim territory for themselves through you, through the person that they draw or come through. They come into parts of ourselves that are suppressed and unrecognized, which we assume, actually may even unconsciously assume, are ours. And then we think we're special. We become the quality of that which we have opened ourselves up to. We take on the suppressed rage that was more than your little suppressed rage. It takes on your lust that for you was much less. And it feels like your lust. It takes on a sense of power greater than the power you've known. And with power, there is always love, because power brings freedom and joy. And with that, these are expressions of love. But when the power starts encountering the ego, it's in the motive to enhance itself as power. And it does that by seduction. And I'm speaking not just of human beings, but I'm speaking of the beings that exist in these domains that we start encountering. Some of these come through the traditions we've been exposed to, through our parents who have been spiritually awakened, and they carry with them these beings, and then they get transferred to the child because the child is pure innocence. And at some stage, the child wakes up and it starts claiming its territory. You cannot know this imperishable tree through a psychological or scientific analysis. You have to have traversed the territory. But when this starts happening, and it's happening within this group, you must be very willing to question what's happening to you, enough so that you don't get invested in it. Some of these things may be yours. I mean, they may be you, for you, coming through your being for your own spiritual enhancement, to bring you into a greater relationship with the eternal truth you are. But simultaneously will be those things in yourself that you weren't exposed to this life, that you didn't even know you had. The primal karmas, the ones that you weren't meant to experience this life. Through these channels, they can enter. The subconscious, the subliminal, the places between dream and sleep, between death and birth. When you begin to have experiences of subtle plane, you start entering the domain between death and birth. These are inhabited by beings both who once lived and beings that came with the archetypal structure of the creation. When you start awakening to the chakras, you start awakening to these primal forces. You start meeting them, experiencing them, not like abstract. You'll see them. You'll see their dimensions. They will talk to you if they can get your attention. And if they talk to you, you will feel so exalted, because that's what it feels like when the vampire sucks your juice. As your energy leaves your system, it's always an exaltation, because all that has accumulated in your body as an awakening being goes out to that which you're drawn to. And these beings draw hugely. And then they give you back something you haven't had before in exchange. like brass coins for gold. It is a false spiritual experience, a false promise, one that you can only keep if you stay aligned with that particular entity that you encountered. I know this. I've traveled the territory. I have met them all. They have tried to swallow me. I let them swallow me. I was in ecstasy as they swallowed me. And then I popped out and it was gone. It was gone. I ate it. But it wasn't that I did that consciously. It was because the purity of my aspiration and my devotion for the eternal truth, my commitment to know the absolute and not have anything interim, was the Bible, was the foundation, was my anchor point for traversing this territory. So I had no fear. But I had seduction, and that is where I had to be discerning. Because it would come in the feminine form, it would come in the Shakti. And the male is always pulled to the Shakti. Female is pulled to the awareness, the power. Male is pulled to the Shakti and the bliss and the love. So I had to learn to detach myself from the subtle planes, because the seductions on the subtle plane are subtle, physical, and vital, are extraordinarily enchanting. It's completely convincing. And all you want is more of it if your nature is inclined to that kind of addictive quality that comes from desire, from the sexual energies. So it has a role to play. These are all tests. But it's the testing you to see if you can keep hold on your own truth, that the one that's coming to you specifically through your body. None of these beings are living. They are between death and birth. Some never took a birth, so they never had death. But they have no power on their own. They only have power for awakened, with those awakened human beings who turn to them. And when we turn to them, we're attracted to their unique little particular energy or quality or fragrance, which is more than what we have experienced before, perhaps. Otherwise, they're just enchantments that go. It's the ones that are greater that you start encountering when you're aligned with a spiritual teacher like myself, where the forces of transformation are vigorous, because they are going to draw off that force through you if they can get you, if they can capture your attention. So when these things come, and for some of you they have or are coming, you must take everything with a grain of salt. It's not anything to be afraid of. In fact, it's coming to you is because it's your time to meet these things, to discover these other dimensions of Maya, Yoga Maya, which makes the unreal real and the real unreal.